feel like a fool if you didn't. So I don't have anything that I really, like I said, let's watch Zscaler. But what's going up is the stuff that says we're going to have a recession, not that we're going to have a Carter-like recession, because what's going up are the companies that seem to be able to make it so that they can mitigate prices. So you'll have like a Procter up, a Kroger up. Of course, Pepsico's up because of what we know with Elliott. One that is very interesting, Clorox. My friend Herb Greenberg does this. Herb's got many guises, but he worked with me for a long time at TheStreet.com. When he writes something and he says that something's not rye, you mentioned the barbecue is something awry with Kingsford. And now, I happen to like Linda Rendell very much, but I respect that there were issues that he pointed out about costs. I would say that there's a lot of sense that maybe something can happen with Kraft Heinz. I don't know. Yep. I mean, I don't know what can happen. I do know that Nestle, new CEO. Oh. And how about Suntory? Oh, my. And that's Brown Foreman, by the way, and Salsa Tequila. There, it was Talk. We loved Talk. And Talk would come on, and he was the most forward-thinking. I went to see when he merged his really great scotches with Beam, with Brian Souza, my old friend at Yahoo Finance. And one of the things I thought was that he was the biggest innovator in Japan. He was very important. And then there was like a THC issue, not like we have. I was in Colorado this week. I think if you don't use THC, yes. It's like, do we have any non-THC beverages?
Yes. Careful, the altitude, too. That'll get you.
Oh, it hurt me.
Yes.
I was like, why am I so dizzy? Why am I so thirsty? Well, Jim, this is why the Broncos won more games than others.
Yes. Jim, there is some notable weakness in Amazon. This Reuters piece argues that, according to data reviewed by them, that signups for Prime did miss some internal targets, and you do have Amazon down 2 at the open.
I like Andy Jassy very much, and the one thing you would not know is what they really were looking for internal targets. And anyway, what we care about is how much is bought. I don't want to look. I happen to like Amazon. It's a big position for my travel trust. There's an example of where, at a certain point, with a 30 multiple, kind of interesting. But the long knives are out for them because of Amazon Web Services slowing versus Azure, which was something that there is a belief among a lot of people that Azure is passing them. I don't want to bet against Andy. I just find that some plays are stupid.
Right. Do you think that if in fact we get some broad weakness, can the AI trade be counted on as a bit of a salve?
Well, I think that we have to sort out something like Taiwan Semi and the White House saying, pulling their China. We got a big China issue with all of those. But one of the things you want to look at is Dell. Dell was not that bad, but it seems to go down versus Marvell, where people really let down. And
you weren't concerned by the Dell margin, server margin story? That was we've had this discussion for several quarters.
There are issues, but I think Michael Dell has demonstrated over and over again that when the stock goes down, he buys a lot, and you're not to worry. Right. The key one there is Broadcom, and you got to wait till Thursday, but that's Hawk 10. Hawk is the best. He's the toughest and the best, so that's the one that would tell me that we could get a turn, but it's not today. It's not today.
Yeah.
And I think that NVIDIA is now dragging the long knives again. I mean, how many times do I have to read that there's some Chinese outfit that is catching up to NVIDIA? Go read the transcript. It's really hard to catch up with NVIDIA. They do a lot of things right that others don't. Man, the market's getting clobbered.
Yeah, Microsoft, I mean, I think this is the lowest intraday since the middle of July, right?
Well, Microsoft's
6 weeks?
That's another one like Zscaler. If you see that one bounce, because they had a perfect quarter. And we all believe that, look, I want to say that Amazon can catch up. The Amazon Web Services is much bigger than Azure. But I recognize that it's going, that people think they're going the wrong way. Right. That no one thinks, by the way, that Microsoft's going the way. No one thinks there's another one. I had Snowflake on last week, and Sridhar Ramaswamy, that may have been the biggest upside surprise. So watch Zscaler and watch the upside surprise Snowflake, because, wow, that's a consumption model. You don't know how to use AI. You go to Sridhar. He'll help you do it, help you get on, and it's rental. You don't have to buy.
By the way, I mean, we talked about tech, but some of the financials are also leading to the weakness. Goldman's the worst performing Dow name. JPM's in there as well. Some of the industrials, Jim, 3M.
Yeah, my my travel trust owns Goldman. I'd buy it. I'd buy it here. I'd buy it. They're having a great quarter. I mean, there's so much M&A. Just over and over again, there's M&A.
Well, and also so much IPO news today as well.
Oh, we got Klarna. Yep. Look, that's profit taking because Goldman sells it at maybe 14 times earnings. I'm not too worried about them. I really like that idea. I like American Express if it keeps getting hit. They had a dynamite quarter, and they have, by the way, big Gen Z. Amazing. People really, the Gen Zers are really proud, and that's something that Steve Squeri has worked on over and over and over again. I buy that stock if it hits another 3-5 points.
Right. But in general, though, the leaders today, Jim, very defensive. Pepsi aside, it's Campbell's, it's Bristol Myers, it's Hershey, Hormel, General Mills.
Well, they're all, not Bristol Myers, my Travel Trust owns, has not been good. But I think the others, Campbell's, General Mills, people feel, wait a second, it's time for the great consolidation. We don't have the FTC blocking us. We really have to just get some bandwidth. Mars has bandwidth. They bought that Kellanova, but they're private. I do think that when you look at a stock like a General Mills, it yields 5%. General Mills is a very good company in a market that says, listen, we need more growth. And they don't have it. Of course, the obvious one that everyone's going to look at to see if it's going to go down is Coca-Cola, which is down 7 cents. Coca-Cola's Buffett and right. Coca-Cola's really, Coca-Cola, James Quincy, he's made the quarter. He's been remarkable.
Over the weekend, J.P. Morgan ran a chart of Vegas visitations.
Whoa, they better be careful. They better be careful.
What do you think's going on?
Prices are up too much. I think everything's being subsidized by Vegas. I was looking at some numbers, Vegas. So, thank you, Matt Hortman, who sent me this. Yep. Who's out in Vegas, one of my writing partners. He said, "Look, this is just milk it in Vegas and build elsewhere." Now, I happen to think, just I'm not signaling out win.
Okay, so we're just waiting for the 15 minutes of the opening range to get set here. Good morning, everybody. This is Chris with Orb Traders. The overnight action clearly blew through the fib from the 22nd, back when Jackson Hole and JP got on the mic. We were holding that fib for a little bit, never went up to complete targets. From Friday's high to low fib draw, we stayed within the fib zone, the short fib zone, and completed all 3 targets. We'll see if we can continue driving lower, or we're going to find support here and continue to push back up. We were down in 23,300s, and on the ES also pulled back and took out that fib zone from the 22nd as well. Now we're approaching the higher time frame fib zone, 63.75s is the next support below. That is the August 1st to August 15th period. That is the fib draw from 62.39s. So just keep an eye on that area to see if we continue to hold. 63.75s is the fib for that time frame. If we do the same out on the NQ, we draw this low to high. We've already broken through that. The ES has not broken through that though, so curious to see if the ES will continue lower. We'll just have to wait and monitor. We've got 4 more minutes until the opening range is set, but we are clearly above off the 5-minute opening range, and we have equities climbing back to positive territory on their range. So we'll just continue to sit and wait and see what shapes up.
The rails are a little weaker. I think that those deals take 2 years and people got a little too excited.
Right. We missed you on Friday when we had a chance to look at the Caterpillar 8K, where they warned of additional tariff headwinds. Cat hasn't broken the 50-day since, let's see, May. And today would be the first trip below.
See, I don't know Joe Creed. I know Jim Umpleby, who is, by the way, acquired Hayes Cowboys when we went to a game together. He's not really a Cowboy fan, but they moved that company to Dallas. I think that without knowing Joe Creed's view, I'm reluctant to say just step up, because you do have a market multiple on a stock that historically has had below a market multiple. But remember, congratulations to Jim Appleby for taking that company and being a non-episodic.
Okay, a couple minutes out till that 15-minute range is going to be set here.
I'm sure he's taught Joe Creed everything he needs to
And just keep in mind, if we look at the studies,
Not down as much
Asia pretty much just accumulated and consolidated into this range, and then London took out that, brought back, retraced lower, retraced a lot of that prior action, like I was just describing, from Jackson Hole, and September is historically red. We could certainly get faked out here to the long side, or we might just continue to climb up higher. We'll just wait and see. We're going to be just trading the plan, and we've got 152 points of range on the NQ so far. For the ES, we have, let me get this chart up here. We've got 15.5. That's actually a bit higher than most days on the ES. For our internals, the volatility measurements are trending lower from their highs, and then the tick has bounced above the extremes, where it opened up at negative 1400, 1433. So a really good fade. That could have been a play if you were trying to get in right off the market open. That's not something that I like to do. So not a play for me, but if you're in a rush or something and you want to risk it, I would watch the open, and if you open in extremes on the tick, it's very likely that it's going to fade back into zero. Can't say it's going to happen every single time, but something to keep in mind. So we're about to close the 15 minutes here. Again, the high is 177.75. The low is 25.25, and there's our first 15 minutes. So we'll go ahead and drop it down into our 5-minute chart. We did take out the Asian lows. We swept through that, and we'll see if we can get a clean break above. I'll actually change this color, because I think it's impacting the study. There we go. Now you can kind of see that shaded area. So we're looking for a 5-minute close above. Obviously, if you want to risk it and just get long based on that bounce earlier, that's one method, but I am not going to do that myself.
I did a study of shutdowns 10 days before you're supposed to shut down is the pain point. You can start buying that after you get to 10 days, but I'm not. This is a new.
So I'm still flat. We're getting very close though to potentially taking an entry here. Just staying patient. And we are looking just to go in with one contract at the moment. So there's our breaker. We've got VWAP above us at 225s. And we can also look back overnight, see if there's any poor structure, which I can already see above us here. And here, and also right here, right where we're breaking into. So these are 30-minute fair value gaps, poor structure that we could either face some resistance or just blow right through. So that's why I want to keep an eye on the internals, and we are already breaking the bottom of the VXN. If we go ahead and look at the QQQs. QQQs are going into some resistance, but they are breaking above. And then if we also, let's go ahead and detach this so we keep that up, but let's go ahead and just take a peek at our indices and our equities that make up all the indices, the major players. A lot of them are red because of the way that the market has opened. Obviously it's a down day, but they are trending up towards the top of their opening range, so something to keep in mind of. And it looks like that breaker, if we go back to the 1 day 5 minute, we did not get a close above, we got a wick. So still waiting for that close. Keep on monitoring. I'm gonna take it pretty easy this morning. No need to rush. I mean, I know that there's a lot of action. You might be feeling FOMO because of how much the market dropped overnight, but it doesn't change the strategy one bit. And if we look at our news today, there's nothing red to worry about. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong week. There is something red to worry about. PMI, ISM, that's at 8 o'clock, so in 12 minutes we might just stay flat until then. I'm glad I checked that because I was definitely on the wrong week. Thought that we had something going on. So here we go into this 5-minute candle. We are 1 minute out. Looks like it will grab a close above. I'm going to change this and remove the extended session just to kind of dial in my chart. So to close above, we just need to close above the 77.75, so we're already up in the 80s. And 30 seconds out from that close. Right back into the top, so that one so far hasn't closed. We've got 20 seconds, and we'll see if this actually closes outside. We are above VWAP also, unless if you are looking at the Globex session. If you look at Globex, VWAP is still above us. So for the RTH session, we are above VWAP. For the Globex session, we are still underneath it. There is our 5-minute breaker. So now let's look and drop things down even further and see if we can stay above. Again, we're running into some news here in a few minutes, and we're running right into the 21 EMA. I'm actually going to switch this. I wanted to start using the 20. Just a little personal preference. But I think along here, looking for potentially, 10 points isn't a bad bet. Especially if you're using the bottom of the breaker at 46s. Sorry, 46s. That might be kind of wide. Say the bottom of this 1 minute breaker, 75s. And that's if you're in on the 1 minute. I mean, because the NASDAQ is so high in the range, we might want to just get that closer. So I took one already. We're up about $200 with one trade, just one contract off that breaker. And we may continue to climb as the tick is over 0 and our VXN and our VIX are trending lower and breaking the bottom of their opening range. And VWAP again for the overnight session is still, well, now it is below us. We just broke above it. We might be able to climb, or this is going to retrace. So just keep an eye on that. Given where the all these ETFs are and all the equities. Hold on 1 second. Let me fix the spreadsheet. We've got a lot of green on the board. A lot of bullish range for Tesla, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple coming off of their lows, and we've got the ARK, ARK and TARK and SPY, QQQs, DIA all trending up higher. Now that we've actually broke above the Globex VWAP, you could see just oscillation retrace back into the opening range. But I'm going to stay flat. We've got 8 more minutes until the news pops. Again, I am glad that I checked that news event. I was totally on the wrong week. And let's go down to the 5-minute on the ES and see if we can look for potential opening there. We've got that breaker already above the first 15 minutes of range. And this blue zone was just a fib zone that is holding. That August 1 to August 8, 15 fib draw is still holding on the ES. It failed on the NQ, so there's a bit of an inverse there, inverse, sorry, I haven't had my coffee yet today. I guess you could say divergence there. One actually broke through, one did not. So if you draw the low to high on the ES from the 1st of August, just go back 30 days. We'll do the 15-minute. Take the studies off. So if you go back and look, I think we're going to have to go up higher on the time frame. Let's do the 1 hour. You see this fib level. That's in this light blue. From the low of 62.39.5 to the high, this is RTH high. Let me just remove the highlight. You see that zone set between 64.05s and 63.42s. So if we go ahead and box that area in, that area has held. We have not broken below that. And this fair value gap, actually we should be extending this over into September. Curious if that will actually come into play. But if you do the same draw on the NQ, you're going to see that that actually has been broken. I'm going to just follow the same method here and do the 20, oh sorry, not the 20, the 30 day, take off the studies and just remove the highlighted session. And if we do that draw from the low of 22.775s to 24.68s, and if we box in that fib zone, you can see we are below it. So 270s above us would be the 61.8, but because that already broke down and failed, I'm going to actually remove that. And at this point, if you were thinking about more shorts, you could start drawing your last week high to this week's low that has just been set this morning, and you can start looking for potential shorts in this zone, as September, being historically red, might face some more selling. I would be very interested to see if the zone that was set from last week's high to now this week's low holds, and we target 22.840s. Below that would be 22.540s, and then well below that is 22s. Quite a bit of range below us to clean up if we want to get into those targets, but just something to think about. It could also not happen. We could simply have a month where we're not red like we have been historically. I can't predict the future, but we can just watch price and see what price tells us and trade our strategy. And that's exactly what I have done this morning. Took a little orb long, a couple $100. Trade copy that across. Same thing, different day. Go ahead and remove the extended session once again. Let's look at just today on the 5-minute, and we can see we've got that breaker. After that breaker, the next candle ran 60 points. If you are struggling to get a 10-point scalp on a 60-point bar, not sure exactly what the issue is, but please ask. I'm happy to help troubleshoot or walk through whatever you're looking at, but a lot of the times folks will get caught up in that first 15 minutes just because they want to get in and get out, move on with their day, or they also see the fact that the NQ has such high volatility and such a high range. They want to be a part of that. My personal opinion, if you're taking an orb lower than 15 minutes, they can certainly work. They are going to be riskier than waiting for a higher time frame opening range. So pick whichever method works for you. I am not saying that the 5 or the 15, or sorry, the 5, even the 10 or the 3, or even the 1. I'm not saying those don't work. They certainly do. But I can get plenty of what I need in a day out of a candle breaking, getting in, and let's say we did get in on the top of this. This is a 1 minute, so I actually probably wouldn't have done that, but I would have waited for this next candle to see how it shaped up. I would want to see this candle close above, which it did, and then I would have got in. And then if you look at the range of this candle being 36 points, your stop loss down here, or sorry, not right here. If you use the top of the opening range as your stop loss or the 9 EMA, you'd still be in this trade up until 23 220s, unless if you're only just scalping for some points. But in my opinion, if you can get your daily goal within the first couple of candles on the NQ, I mean, why risk it in this range unless if you really need 200 points or 10, 20, 30 points isn't enough for you. Plenty for me though. If we wait for the 1 minute breaker, we have a candle after the breaker close above, then you enter. So our low for the following candle was at 190s. We could have used 175s as a stop loss and hit our targets above. So here comes that print on the news, and look at the NQ and look at the VXN drop continuously along with the VIX, and the tick is hitting extremes now. So this would be a pretty solid time to probably buy and look for those last week lows to hit above us at 370s potentially. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here on the NQ.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome back to Squawk on the Street.
Turn the session back on so I can see that. The other couple levels I just wanted to pull up were the London and US, or sorry, the London and Asia sessions. So the London session still above us, the highs at 23,452s, and then the low, the Asia session is, let's see here, 415s. Could keep on climbing. Good bounce, and then there's on the ES you have some poor structure above that you could reclaim. On the 1 hour, drop that down to the 15. You can see there's still some up here. It's above last week's low. And then with the NQ, we just tagged into that fair value gap. That's a 15-minute fair value gap. I think that drives a little bit off. Let me fix that here. An easy way to do this, if you click on settings, I don't know why this keeps on coming off, but if you go to appearance, snap crosshairs to open, high, low, close, hit apply, hit OK, that will make these draws exact. Oh, it looks like this is the first one that is exact. That's annoying. Okay, so that one is. Oh, but the second one is not. How silly. The first click snaps too. Come on, Thinkorswim. You guys could do better than that. Alright, so the high of this is 264.25. So we'll just update that. Keep that level in mind as that fair value gap got tapped into. And clearly there's a pullback there. That is the 15-minute fair value gap. We had a couple overnight. I'm going to actually remove these because those got cleared up. I guess the only one that didn't fully get cleared up would be right here. We can move that all the way over. But we are trending up on the 15 minutes still on time framing, so we've got 12 more minutes. This candle could certainly close green and then we can keep on going up. Now looking at last week's Friday high to low fib draw, we've hit all three of those fib target profits. -23, -61, -127. We held that throughout the half day yesterday, sold off overnight, hit all three targets overnight. We could continue lower. There is some support on the August 1st 30-minute level below us at 22,775s. It's pretty far below us. I don't know if that's going to hit today. Certainly could. We'll just have to wait and watch. Now that that has hit, what I would be doing is grabbing this Fibonacci draw and bringing it down to the low of today. And I'm just going to update this so this is exact to price. So the high would be at 23,668, and then now the low of today is down at 23,25. So that puts our fib zone above us. That also just tapped into along with that fair value gap at the 38s. So I personally would like to see if the 346s, 350s, this area holds, and then we go lower to 22,870s or 22,630s. But we'll just have to wait and watch and see if price is actually going to break this fair value gap or continue higher. I'm going to drop it down into a 5-minute now. And we'll just look at today's with the studies with the Globex VWAP oscillating back again around VWAP for today's session. Can also turn this on for the ES. If you'd like me to talk more about the ES or the NQ, just call it out. I think I'm just going to do call-outs now, strictly on YouTube. I don't think I'm going to keep going back and forth, talking and then typing in Discord. That's just too much. I only got one mouth and two hands. I got to focus on one or the other. I'll go into the Discord and write up ORB trade recaps and updates. If I have time, if I'm not looking for, excuse me, a trade. But so far, one trade, one contract, $200. That trade literally took 27 seconds, and I think that's one thing that I really like about the NQ. Those ranges hitting faster than the ES. You can be in and out of trades faster, but you can also burn your ass just as quickly, or just as fast. So make sure you go into your trades always with stop losses defined. Sorry, let me drop this down into the 5-minute on the ES.
General market declines, which has an outsized impact on our beer business compared to the broader beer category. So besides the, value-seeking behavior, low-income versus high-income consumer, Hispanic consumer weakness has been a threat.
A couple other things to look at are Volt and ADD. pretty far down below us. I don't know why my study got removed off of this, but oh, it actually didn't. Okay, let's see. Can I detach this? Here we go. So we can see that the Vold has stayed below 0 this whole morning. We haven't gone into extremes, but we can clearly see where we opened. Similar to the tick, we have faded a little bit back up towards 0. We are not there yet. This could continue to stay well below 0, and we could continue to just drop. But we have price further away from 0 is essentially telling me we will not just chop like we did a lot in the last couple of weeks, especially on the ES. We should get some form of a trend here, which we have already broken out. I mean, that's for me on the ES. I'm only looking for 5 points. That's already been plenty. If you look at the 1 hour for today, take off the study. Let's actually drop it into the 30-minute. Probably make more sense since we're only 30 minutes into the session. But the 30-minute candle has had 33 points of range already, and I'm only looking for 5 on the ES. I'm looking for 10 on the NQ. That's a daily minimum goal of mine. Whatever yours is, obviously try to target that. But the point that I'm saying is this isn't just choppy as the last several weeks have been, so that is helpful. Helps you hit those targets a little bit sooner in the day. So I'm probably going to be closing up shop here at 8:30. Keep the stream up and running though. Going back into the normal workday routine. Streaming for the first hour at the most, and then closing shop, at least regarding being on the mic. So after that print, I guess we didn't hear much about that, so we can turn this up. I was not listening to this, so I'm going to mute myself and listen to this.
Strongest breadth that we've seen in small caps on record in a single day. And as long as rates at the long end of the curve, say the 10-year, remain contained, I think the broadening trade is intact. So if you stay under 450 on the 10-year yield, I think you can see the broadening small caps do well in that environment. As far as rates seeing a little bit of an uptick here, U.S. yields versus the rest of the world, they've been so contained in the U.S. versus the rest of the world. So that whole U.S. exceptionalism losing its luster, that whole idea, I think, is going out the window as we're starting to see stocks do better in the second quarter versus Europe and interest rates holding up a lot better.
Well, you said it all hinges on treasuries behaving themselves. So my question is on that. So interestingly, treasuries are selling off today. Yields are higher. Nothing spiking, nothing dramatic. But there is this idea out there. So the Court of Appeal shoots down President Trump's reciprocal tariffs, and whether that might actually be bond negative because of the fiscal concerns. The fact that tariffs were actually starting to raise a lot of money and be very positive for the bond market. It's not what we thought going in, but is that what's happening?
Yeah, so suddenly tariffs going away would be a bad thing. It's this market, things constantly change. The narrative constantly changes. I think, yeah, that could be a potential negative. Whether or not that happens, we still have the courts to go through with this, and if the Supreme Court doesn't uphold the tariffs, then you go into Congress. So there's still a lot to be played out. But yes, Sarah, if you do start to see that tariff revenue, not materialize, it would create a tenuous budget situation. But again, U.S. yields are holding up a lot better today versus the rest of the world, and so that's not the only thing going on in the treasury markets around the world right now.
Yeah, 30-year gilts in the UK, highest since '98 today.
Yeah.
We definitely we don't have quite
Amazing.
that problem here. Paul, thanks. Good to talk.
All right,
Talk
thanks
soon.
a lot, Carl.
Paul Hickey.
Big corporate news today. Kraft Heinz announcing it is splitting into two companies undoing the merger originally envisioned by Warren Buffett. Becky Quick just off the phone with Buffett and joins us now with the details. Becky.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Carl. It's good to see both of you. Obviously, what Berkshire Hathaway thinks about this is a pretty big deal because Berkshire Hathaway is the largest shareholder in Kraft Heinz. It owns 27.5% of that company. Well, if you're wondering what Buffett and Berkshire are thinking about this, here's the answer in one word: disappointed. Warren Buffett tells me that they were disappointed with them coming up with this idea, and then disappointed on top of that that shareholders will not be getting a vote when it comes to what's going to be happening with this. He says that they will proceed to do from this point whatever they think is in the best interest for Berkshire on this. He said, if we are approached about selling our shares, we wouldn't accept a block bid unless the same offer is made to other shareholders. In other words, they're not going to sell a block bid in a deal price that they can get that the rest of the shareholders won't. If they haven't decided what they're going to be doing, but if there's a buyer who comes forward, it would have to be someone who was buying the entire company. Now, he did tell me, but Warren Buffett told me that Kraft Heinz spoke with Greg Abel about a week ago and said they'd been working on this a long time. Greg Abel told them that he'd be disappointed if they went ahead with this, and sure enough, a few days ago, word came back that they were going to go ahead with it anyway. Basically, they were informed about what the Kraft Heinz board had decided on all of this. I asked Warren Buffett why they didn't like this deal. He said, for starters, it should cost them about $300 million to implement this, and additional overhead costs, and that it's going to take about a year to do so. So that's time that I guess in his view is wasted at that point. His words exactly to me were, it certainly didn't turn out to be a brilliant idea to put them together, but I don't think taking it apart will fix it. If you looked at the stock's performance over the last 10 years, you'd see a little bit of the pain that Berkshire's been in over this period of time, just over the last year. Yeah, you can see here, since the merger closed in 2015, stock's down by about 70%. It's been down about 20% over the course of this year, and it's down 3.5% this morning on this news. Now, this was a deal that Berkshire put together with 3G. At that point, they were very optimistic about what could be accomplished. They did squeeze out some of the overhead costs at that point. It looked like it was doing fairly well for a while, but it's been quite a while since that stock has had any sort of good performance on anything. Berkshire's people resigned from the board of Kraft Heinz. They had two designated board members who resigned at, I guess, Warren Buffett and Greg Abel's suggestion at that point. Back on May 19th of this past year, I guess they saw kind of where things were headed, weren't really in favor of it, so decided they didn't want to have their people voting on something along those lines. But if you look at this, again, Berkshire Hathaway is the largest shareholder by far, 27.5%. Berkshire has never sold or bought any stake. I think originally they were close to about 26%.
Oh, poor little Warren. He struggled so hard.
But if you look at the list of other big shareholders in this stock, you're going to see it's Vanguard Group at about 8.6%. BlackRock Institutional has 4.3%. State Street has 3.9%. Geode has 2.2%. Invesco Capital Management with the triple Qs has about 2%. Even if you add up those next five shareholders, that only gets you to about 21% of the shares versus the 27.5% that Berkshire has owned. Now,
all right, so I'm going to just turn her down a little bit here.
Issue that Berkshire almost never is an active shareholder. They are passive shareholders. They don't like to get involved in this, but I guess there's a situation where
Buffett doesn't like them. They're going to pay. Isn't he out of there, though? I thought that guy retired and they have a new CEO, or is the new dude, I don't know. Honestly, I should shut up. I'm not totally paying attention to them, but it's funny. The guy has so much, or Berkshire Hathaway has such a big impact on them. You're going into September, though. Shouldn't be a shock. It really shouldn't be. It's a red month over and over and over again. You should ask ChatGPT how often is. Let me see if ChatGPT knows this. I'm just so curious. How often is September red on the NQ and ES going back the last 10 years? Let's see what she says. She, it, whatever. Watch is going to be like, I cannot pull this data for you. I must have broke it. still oscillating around VWAP, Globex VWAP. I'm pretty sure we're above VWAP for the RTH session. Let me just take that off really quick. Yeah, we're still above VWAP on the RTH session, so we could certainly go back in through this fair value gap. I have some fibs. These are fib short levels targeting 27,870s below us if we continue to drop. But knowing there's that huge gap from Labor Day and even last Friday, that gap could certainly be filled. I don't know if it's going to be filled today, but wouldn't be shocked. Come on, ChatGPT. Thought you were faster than that. Oh, and also the whole tariff rule. I wonder if that's probably leading to the whole sell-off overnight. Excuse me. Still haven't had my coffee today, so I'm not on my game. We've only done one trade, ORB long, one contract. Close that out for a green morning, so I may look for another trade here, but I'm just waiting for my coffee. And I could just easily go make myself coffee, but my lady decided to go run to her favorite place in the world and get some regular black coffee from Starbucks. Okay, so the ES September finished red in 6 of the last 10 years. 2015, 16, 2020, 21, 2, 3. The NASDAQ finished red 7 of the last 10 years. So it's not every single time, but it is generally. If you want, I can also break out the exact figures by year. No, that's okay. But that is pretty interesting. We'll just post this here. Where is good old Discord? Okay, back to it. So now that we have our low to high set for the morning so far, we're not fully done with initial balance. We've got 11 minutes to go. Initial balance being the first hour of range. We've got a low to high already set there, and if we hold, again, I am a big proponent of fibs. It just helps you see price a little bit easier. If we hold this zone, then the long target above us would be at 23,341s. And keep in mind, though, these fib zones can certainly just break down, especially when they're shorter in time frame. High time frame fibs are generally going to stay stronger, but we broke the August 1st to August 15th fib zone on the NQ. We are still holding that on the ES. We'll see if we can stay above. To break that on the ES would be breaking 63.42s. That is the low from August 1st to the high of August 15th. That is what this zone is. You got some fair value gaps in there. This last week low is actually not, I don't think that's correct. Is that correct? I don't think that's correct. I didn't update all my levels for the ES for last week's. Yeah, last week's low is, let's see here. 10-day, 15-minute. Take off these studies. Yeah, last week's low is way up there. So Sunday, Monday. Oh, I already have it up there overnight. So we can just take that off. We are clearly below last week's low, but I think there could be a good run for bulls again. If you look over at the range on the equities and the volatility measures, those are trending lower. We are staying above VWAP as well. I may be looking for a little bit of a scalp here to the long side. Maybe we tag the 70s again. Wouldn't be shocked, and we can leverage these EMAs below us as stop losses. So the 20s. Let me just zoom in here and make this a little bit easier to see. 223s. Otherwise, we could certainly fail back down and head right into the opening range. did get a ton of 3-minute OTFs with high wicks on the NQ. And we're already clearing all those wicks. We're running into the 20 EMA here. See if we can get a candle close above that. That would be fairly bullish. But we're running into the low of that fib short zone. So this fib short zone would technically be resistance for short targets below us. You can color this however you want. And again, the targets would be down here at 873s. So each level, you know, these are just fib levels within the zone. The golden ratio, or whatever you want to call it. I like to use these 3 levels. They're the most significant in my experience and in most Fibonacci textbooks, I believe. And being that that 21 EMA is right below the 38.2, and we keep getting those wicks, we might certainly just crash right into the opening range again and go back into, you know, the first 15 minutes of action between 23 170s and 2300s. We'll see if 9 EMA holds up though. We are about 1 hour in. And then behind this, we've got our equities. So we've got Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, Meta, Google, all above the opening range. Facing resistance though, could certainly come back into resistance. And it's very likely we just head right back into this opening range that's below us. So I'm going to go ahead and I had one position going there short from that EMA. Might just call it a day here. Maybe add one more. If this closes below 9 EMA, we may go ahead and tag the opening range midpoint down at 23 100s. Continue to wait and see. Looks like we're going to break through 23 200s, or we might hold it. We'll see. Another psych level every round 100 number. Get a little bit of a psych level, where when I say psych level, it could just get choppy around that zone. But so far on the day, we've taken a couple trades. Sorry if I'm being late to call these out, but we took that first orb long, and there's my coffee from my wonderful lady. Thank you. Took that orb long, then we took an orb short as we got closer to that 20 EMA 38.2% level. So we are doing pretty decent this morning. I don't know, honestly, if I want to keep on shouting out P&Ls. I feel like that can deter people from what they're really trying to accomplish, but happy to show it if that's something that people need. I don't think that it really is necessary. It's good. I guess it can give people motivation. I really would just like to focus more on the process more than anything. Let me pull up Replicanto and see. I mean, I suppose I can post whatever. I'll just say that I got a couple wins. And like I said, I was only going to trade on the mic for the first hour. We're getting close to that first hour, so 4 minutes away. Might just wrap it up and call it a day here. Again, that round 100 number, 23,200, is holding up a little bit. We see the volatilities have set their lows and have been slowly climbing above, and we see that the tick is down in extremes. If you're only an NQ trader, you may find it easier to simply look at NQ, tick, and VXN, you don't necessarily need all this. Or if you're just an ES trader, you may only want to have the ES, VIX, and tick. I'm going to throw all three. I might actually adjust how these are laid out, but yeah, I mean, good orb long today, right into that 38.2, pulling back now. Again, targets below us at 22,207s. We'll see if we can get out of this. This is starting to look a little bit choppier, but not as bad as if you went over to the ES because their ranges. And this is again why I feel like switching over to the NQ is going to pay off, just given that it's got more of a range. So it's a little bit of an adjustment for me as I'm primarily an ES trader, but the principles are still the same. The whole concept of trading the opening range breakout is still the same. So let's see, I guess I can throw this on here. I've got the DOM on the other screen because I just want to watch. I like to see the time and sales come through. Yo, what is going on here? There's no way there's only one. Okay, I guess we need to go down lower on the NQ right now. So more buyers than anything. Maybe I should go like this. Here we go. I'm still figuring out the way that I want to actually show this stream. I want to focus more again on process and not just, oh, what is Chris's P&L? Don't want to become just an alert system where buy now, sell now, buy now, sell now. Like, that's not going to help anybody. But we are breaking above again over here on the NQ from those 23 200s. We just bounced 50 points. You could scalp all day on the damn NQ. This is ridiculous. And pairing it with internals, it's a pretty strong combo there. We've got the VIX and the VXN dropping, and your ES now, or sorry, your VIX over the zero line, faded off these extremes. This could also be another strategy. You could literally, today, you could have just faded extremes. So we had extreme 143s, 1400s, extreme 815s, and then we came back down. I mean, we actually were extreme and then extreme again. So all of these areas today, you could have just done the opposite on the NQ. So down here, you would have just bought. Up here, you would have just sold. Down here, you would have just bought. That could be a strategy. I'm so curious if somebody just does something like that on the NQ and they just range tick trade. But we could try it. We could wait till this next one actually pops in. But I'm already an hour in. And like I said, I got to get back to my normal day job. I was off all last week. So I'm going to switch over to the other computer here and get logged in and get set up for my day. But I'll be back on the stream tomorrow. We'll look for some more opening range breakouts on the 15 minutes. If you like the 5-minute or 3-minute, like I was saying earlier, they work. They're a little bit riskier. So pick your poison, whichever one you want to go with. And remember, I'm not just simply looking for price to close outside of the 15-minute range. I'm looking for internals to line up, build some context, and look at any daily levels. I'm actually working on a orb checklist. I was putting this together last night. I probably stayed up way too late last night putting this together, but there's an orb checklist. It's just going to be a Google Doc. I mean, it is a Google Doc. I have my coffee in front of me, but clearly I haven't taken a drink. My brain is just not working right now. But the orb checklist that I'm trying to put together, this is going to be totally free, is all the thoughts that I'm going through. And then I'm going to make like a very simple version where, let me see if I can open this up so we can keep that NQ price up here. So we're gonna go over, the prep before market open, reviewing overnight price action, building that opening range. I should make sure this is Mountain Standard Time. Qualification. So before you actually make that entry, just because you have the opening range, you need to have something qualify there. 5-minute candle break and above is just one part of the qualification. It's not the full story. Your entry, your risk, targets, management, things that disqualify trades. I'm gonna actually put the disqualifier up above. Exiting, and then your, I don't know why it says 2M, your post-trade notes. So before the market opens, it's pretty straightforward. Get your platform set up, get your 15-minute level set up, or get your 15-minute orbs set up or ready. And by setup, I'm saying before the market opens, do you have the study configured correctly? Or are you just going to plot it in manually? You can have these studies configured for 15, 30, whatever you want. There's a handful of them depending on whatever platform you use. And then, have you already marked out the key levels? Prior day high, low, last week's high, low, overnight open, sessions for London and Asia, Sunday's open, and then of course the all-time highs. You want to have those set. Be aware of any of the news. Have your internals ready. And then when the market does open, you've got 15 minutes to review. Say you set those levels up overnight, and now you just have to adjust some things. Well, now you can take the first 15 minutes and look at the overnight action, what actually happened, and where are we opening up in relation to the overnight. Was the Asia session just choppy? Did we actually take out any levels from the Asia session during the London session? So the high of Asia, the low of Asia, did we take any of those out? Are we squeezing? When I say squeezing, I use the TTM squeeze indicator by John Carter. Very profitable options guy who created this, and it's available in TradingView and Thinkorswim, but it's a lower study that you can configure on. They're better off used on 30 1-hour daily charts. 1 5 minutes, 3 minutes, you can use them, but and then marking out last week's high and low, fib draws, any big change fib draws. So we had the August 1st, August 15th fib draw up on the NQ and the ES. The NQ broke that though, so now it's gone. The ES is still holding it. And then same with the Jackson Hole JP day. We had that fib level on. Talks about fib zones. What I want to do is just make a video that talks through all of this with some charts as well. And then you're going to build that first 15 minutes of range, of course, and you're not going to enter, so that's what these white candles are. And then now qualification, we're talking about, is the candle actually closing outside? Do you have internals agreeing? Is there volume with your break? So if we take off some of these studies, let's actually just remove the lower, and let's show the volume subgraph. So there's an easy way to do this if you use this study. So if you look down here in the volume, the easy way to do this is look at the color. Gray, the volume's kind of low in comparison. Then you have yellow and green that are higher extremer volume, extreme volume in comparison to the average. So on that breaker, if this breaker is gray, I'm really not going to be interested in looking at that. That might just be chop. But that wasn't clearly today. That candle broke 80 points. That's a 3-minute candle. If you look at the 5-minute candle, the volume on the 5-minute candle, or sorry, the range on that was 62 3/4. So good volume, good break. And then where the internals are green. So if you look, as I put my mouse on this breaker candle, and you look, let me just make this bigger. And if you look over here, now keep in mind this breaker candle is a 5-minute, and the VXN is a 1-minute. But you can see it's breaking. It already broke the bottom of the opening range, and so the whole relationship with the VXN and the NQ is inverse. The VXN is going to drop, and then the NQ is going to pop. And then are you running into a major daily level? Is that in the way? And then entry, your brackets, so on and so forth, your risk, target management, what disqualifies it, your grading for the setup. So just a little bit of a checklist I'm going to throw out in the Discord. Hopefully that helps folks trade. But yeah, I've already gone over my hour, so I'm going to cut loose here. Hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for tuning in. I will keep the stream up just to have these levels available and the charts up and running. Throw a little bit of that news down here in the corner. And let's just go like this here. That should work. All right. See you guys later. Be back tomorrow.
Them, and then they become Fed governors. That's not an assault on independence.
It does not have to be assault on independence unless he gets command, a majority on the board. That's why I mentioned this. He'd be one step away from a majority if he can remove Lisa Cook, which I think is illegal, but the courts will decide that.
Why do you think that's such an assault? Because look, whether it's politically motivated or not, if there was, and I'm not going to condemn her, but if there was evidence of mortgage fraud, isn't that grounds for firing without questions about central bank independence?
That I don't know. That's a legal question. It's quite relevant that this was before she was a member of the Federal Reserve Board. And by the way, she hasn't been accused of anything yet. My point is that the Trump appointees are liable to take instructions from Trump. And that's the assault on federal independence. No, there's nothing illegal about him appointing somebody to fill a vacancy. Nothing at all. He's perfectly entitled to it.
I mean, I'm not sure there's any evidence that he would be taking orders from President Trump. I see your point. I mean, we've had Stephen Myron on the show many times. I think that he's a legit PhD economist who feels that rates should be lower.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a debatable proposition. What's not debatable is the president wants the lower to mean like 1% interest rate. Any economist not in the employ of President Trump will tell you that's a wacky idea. It's not a wacky idea to lower interest rates a little bit, and the Fed may do that at its next meeting.
That is the strange part, is that he's just on the cusp of getting the cuts we think that he's so long craved. Alan, I'm wondering whether or not you think the bull steepening that we've sort of seen since the complaint about Cook, it represents anything regarding Fed independence, or is it more of a global sovereign debt story?
Well, I think if you just look at the bigger picture, you have the attempt to remove Cook, which I hope will fail. The new appointment, which was just pointed out, is perfectly legitimate, nothing wrong with it. Powell's reappointment coming up next year. And as long as those are filled by people that understand monetary policy and understand the role of the Fed, which includes respecting the independence of the Fed, I think it's all fine. In his first term, he appointed Michelle Bowman and Christopher Waller, and people like me didn't make a squeak or protest. That was fine. They were fine appointments.
Should the FHFA not point out whether when it finds that it has evidence of mortgage fraud? Should Fed governors not be investigated for this sort of thing?
They can be investigated. It certainly looks to me, and I think it looks to almost everybody, like a fishing expedition. It wasn't just Lisa Cook. It was, by coincidence, several Democrats who've had their files examined. Whether any of them have done anything wrong, I don't know. That's yet to be determined. But it certainly doesn't look like a routine piece of information that filtered up to the head of the agency. That kind of thing wouldn't filter up to the head of the agency in normal times.
No, you might not like how they do it, but ultimately, I think if they find anything, it's worth looking into, which you could argue. I sort of understand more the criticism when President Trump was threatening Jay Powell, but he's repeatedly said that he is not going to fire Jay Powell, and he doesn't think that would be a good idea. I mean, to me, this feels very different than that as far as the implications for independence.
I don't think it should feel different in that firing the chairman is a much bigger deal than firing anybody else in the Federal Reserve system. But qualitatively, it should feel very, very similar. It's the idea of pulling people off the board prior to their time, illegally, I might add, in order to put your people in place. He will have a time, as you just pointed out. It's perfectly legitimate to nominate Mr. Moran for a seat on the Fed.
Okay, well, let's see what happens. We'll see what the court rules on whether the president can do this or not. We appreciate your perspective as always, Alan Blinder.
Very welcome.
Thank you. Coming up in the next hour, do not miss former World Bank President David Malpass, reported contender to replace Lisa Cook on the Fed Board of Governors if the president gets his way. He's going to join us at 11 a.m. on Money Movers. And then tomorrow at 8:30, Steve Leisman will have Fed Governor Chris Waller on Squawk Box to talk about this and policy and a lot more.
Still to come this morning, 9 former CDC directors calling on Congress to look into RFK Jr.'s actions at Health and Human Services, saying it's a danger to Americans. What that means for an already underperforming healthcare sector after this.